Another 3 points closer to promotion, we hope. But this time we did it the hard way. This is Blue Monday. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast covering all things Ipswich Town since 2015. My name is Mikey Penty-Smith and joining me tonight for this live reaction show after Ipswich Town 2, Port Vale 1 is my fellow Exile Blue, Seb Brown. How was that for you, mate?
Wow, who was nervous? Who was worried, eh? Christ, that was that was a little bit kind of fingernail biting tense, wasn't it? But got there in the end, showed character, showed determination, showed a bit of, sometimes you just need those big players when things aren't going your way, when the chips are down, to put in a performance. And yeah, Broadhead tonight showing why he's one of our key signings in January. And so nearly the perfect night with Plymouth doing what Plymouth do and smashing in a winner in the 96th minute to put a slight dampener on us. But yeah, we needed 11 points, 3 down, 8 to go. We march on to Peterborough away on Saturday.
Absolutely, we do. And a penny for Sheffield Wednesday fans' thoughts. They're probably thinking
they must be absolutely heartbroken, mustn't they? I mean, they've kind of got themselves back top of the league. We're struggling. We get a late winner, and then Plymouth get an even later one. So yeah, I bet Owls talk isn't fun tonight either.
No, but there's a lot of emotion, a lot of passion in the live chat tonight. Please join us in there if you're watching live on YouTube. Charlie D says, thank God. Dennis Sullivan said, that felt so good. I think, yes, Seb, tonight, the old football cliche that all fans say about their club, that we don't do it the easy way. We've actually kind of been doing it the easy way for the last few weeks, haven't we? So maybe we would do a real nerve jangler like that one.
Yeah, potentially, because it's been so effortless, hasn't it, for pretty much 2.5 months now. Most games we're completely in control, and we're almost out of sight by half time in some of these games, aren't we? And we can then afford the luxury of bringing on subs and rotating players and resting players. And tonight was very different. I was on the Flagship after Cheltenham, and I said I thought that was the last kind of side we would play that would kind of frustrate us and pack the defence and time waste and have some of the dark arts. I thought Port Vale at Portland Road would be a different matter given how we currently blow teams away at home, but it was very much a return to that kind of game tonight. But like I said at the start, when the chips are down, you need those big players to drag you over the line, and that's what we've done tonight. And yes, it wasn't a great performance. I'm sure there's things that McKenna won't be overly happy with, but we've got the 3 points, and Barnsley have fallen slightly further behind, so there's a little bit of pressure off now going to Oakwell. And yeah, these 2 huge away games will now pretty much define what's going to happen with our season, I'd say.
Indeed they will. Indeed they will. C. London says, never in doubt. Michael Warner, morning all from Brisbane. Great teamwork from town. Hard work and a bit of magic wins the day. Absolutely. Ashley Schaefer, BMW, watching in Costa whiskey to calm down after that. Yeah, the heart rate is still pretty high for me. Not for Mullet, though. Up in the north says, easy like a Sunday morning, that.
Maybe Mullet was watching a different game. I think my heart is definitely still going.
Yeah, and Horse Hollerer says, not going to lie, that was a tough watch, but great perseverance from the boys. Let's please do keep comments coming in, but let's talk about the match in a little bit more detail. Seb, we'll start with the team news. Change. The in attack. What were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I guess so. Obviously, Ladapo came off and scored twice at the weekend. So if you're going to want to give him a run out before the end of the season, I guess tonight was the ideal opportunity. 2 games kind of quick back-to-back. Hurst hasn't scored in the last 2. He pulled that one wide, didn't he, against Charlton at the weekend. So maybe just slightly off it against them. I think Hurst is the better player, but I'm quite pleased for Ladapo because I thought he certainly deserved the chance to come in. Spoiler alert, we'll go on to it. It didn't really click. Obviously, he's been great coming off the bench recently. He hit a really good run of form in January, didn't he? Just as the two new arrivals joined us. So I think that he kind of kept working hard. It'd have been very easy to go into his shell a little bit and think, well, I was brought here as the main number 9, and now I'm being replaced. But he kind of took his game to a new level with their arrivals, and I think he deserved a start because he was very good coming off the bench against Charlton, and the rest of the team. We've said it for the last probably 6-7 weeks now on the podcast. It picks itself, doesn't it? Providing everybody's fit, the remaining 10 picks itself. And I guess tonight was a chance to give Ladapo a run out, but I'd expect Hurst to come back in for those big games away to Peterborough and away to Barnsley.
Yeah, I think Joe Fairs had it spot on when he said that we were playing the hot hand. It would have been probably a mistake to not play Ladapo after he scored those 2 goals the other day. And I mean, it isn't a gamble, is it? But the decision didn't quite pay off, but it also didn't cost us.
No, yeah, and he did deserve a start, didn't he? Let's be fair, he's done really well recently, so he deserved that start.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a quick look at the Port Vale team. Big fella Aidan Stone in goal, wasn't he? And the other names that we kind of know: Gavin Massey, ex Col U, James Wilson started his career at Manchester United, and Ellis Harrison was on the bench. I wasn't too disappointed to see his name on the bench, Seb.
No, he was in an amazing run of form earlier in the season, wasn't he? And I guess players coming back to their old club obviously got a smatter of boos when he came off because he'll always be associated with that god-awful relegation side. And Matty Taylor's there as well, the ex-pressing pest forward from Oxford. I must have missed when he went there on loan in the January window. He's turned up there as well. So they had a bit of players on the bench that could cause a problem. But when I saw the starting lineup, James Wilson aside, there's not many there that, if we're being honest, people have really heard of. And yeah, like you said, Aidan Stone was a bit of a throwback to a ill-fitting goalie top, wasn't it? It wasn't very flattering for the poor guy.
No, all yellow as well, wasn't it? So you couldn't miss the fella. And he didn't exactly have a quiet night, did he? Didn't
No.
actually make many saves, but he was certainly involved. But yeah, getting into the game, and I think we were all hoping for that fast start again, weren't we, Seb? And we did come flying out of the traps, but we were just sort of unable to pick that final pass to create the chance. It was actually Port Vale who had the best chance. There was a shot from Plant, which Burgess did well to get his big head in front of. And then at the other end, Broadhead almost gets in behind, and it's Plant again who puts in a good tackle. But I think Port Vale set their stall up pretty early on, Seb, really low block. They weren't going to make life easy for us, were they?
No, frustrating, wasn't it? It was very much a back 5, on the graphics. It's a 3 with wing backs slightly more advanced, but it wasn't. It was a complete back 5 and then a solid central midfield base. And there were times in the half where, all of the Port Vale players were kind of 10 yards behind the centre circle. They were just sitting there trying to absorb the pressure to stop us getting any kind of space in behind. And some of our passing was a bit off in that first half. We kind of made wrong decisions every now and again, but they were just, constantly on you. And you just, Westlake pointed out in the commentary, they're going man for man, and there was just no space whatsoever to get our normal game going. Our set pieces weren't amazing. Sometimes in these kind of games in the past, we've seen that a quality delivery from Davis can make all the difference from a set piece, but our set pieces weren't really at it. And they had that best move, didn't they? Whether they play I think it was the number 10, wasn't it? Conlon, was it? Plays a ball into the left, inside the left channel, and Massey's there and he pulls it back, and that was a really good block from Burgess because I think he caught that really nicely, Plant, and I think it was I think Walton have certainly been called into action. So that was a big moment. And then, like you say, straight down the other end, and Broadhead's about to pull the trigger, and Plant's there with an excellent block. So yeah, that was the kind of the opening exchanges. We were frustrated. They were very organised, very disciplined. Obviously, they've sacked Daryl Clark. Was it yesterday or Sunday? One of them. So they've kind of gone into this game with nothing to lose because they've been on a horrendous run. They've got players suspended. So I guess they saw it as a chance to really look to frustrate us, to annoy us, suffocate the space, get the crowd a little bit edgy given the stakes that we've got on the line. And they did it quite well as a game plan, to be fair, for that entire first half.
They did. Mullet says, thought their 7-2-1 formation and time where it embodied everything we hate playing against. And it's true. They're not in mid-table anymore, are they? it was a big night for Port Vale tonight, and they did well, to be fair to them. Michael Orner said, I thought Vale had a good game plan, but we managed to overrun them in the second half. We'll get to that. But yeah, just this first half, lots of possession. Chaplin sort of right on the byline, wanting a penalty. If he had the ball slightly under more control, we might have got it.
For me, I didn't think that was for me. No,
Sorry,
I know. It's the second.
The connection is great tonight, is it?
No, I keep losing you. You keep dropping in and out. You kind of, the sound is coming and going. So I'll just discuss the Chaplin one. I didn't think it was a penalty. It's the second movement, isn't it? So the defender is strong, kind of easing him towards the line. But at the last minute, I think he realizes the Chaplin might wrap a boot round and keep the ball in play. And he gives him that extra little shove. And I think I always look at the players, and even Chaplin kind of just looked at the linesman and kind of went like that with his arms up. So if that's one at the other end and Wolfenden does that to somebody and that's given, I think we'd be apoplectic, wouldn't we? So yeah, it was a half-hearted appeal, but not for me.
Indeed. And then there's 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. I think Ian Westlake was saying that we were hoping for more, but ironically, it's then Port Vale that go and score, Seb.
Yeah, and it was it's one of those moments. I mean, Ben and Dave, I think we discussed it on the flagship show of Crystal Palace in 2000, under the lights with the nerves, and I referred to the Stockport game a couple of years before that when Magilton scores from range, and sometimes those nerves cause funny things to happen, and you have to give credit. It was a great strike, wasn't it? It was, the ball comes across, he kind of takes a touch to set himself, and then he absolutely wallops it into the bottom corner. Keeper, I don't think really has a chance. It was a great hit from the edge of the D, and being Ipswich fans, I think at that point we all kind of think, oh no, here we go. We were all there for Crewe in 1999, etc. We know these kind of things can happen on run-ins, and upsets can happen. Look what's happened to Sheffield Wednesday over the last few games. But yeah, I think very much a kind of heart-in-mouth moment. It was a great finish, and it was the first shot on target in the game. So to be fair, it was a moment of quality from them. They'd got in down that side once before in the game, the one we just discussed, where Burgess makes the big kind of block from Plant, and it was a great finish, great hit, and they didn't deserve it. But we all know that teams come here, frustrate us, and if the worst thing you can do in these kind of scenarios is give a team like that something to hold on to. We saw it when Lincoln came here, when Cheltenham came here. If their game plan is to frustrate and annoy and deny space, if you give them something to hang on to straight away, then their tails are going to be up. And it was a really good time to score for them right on the stroke of half time. And I guess we were all a little bit nervous about what the second half would bring.
Yeah, what were your overriding say a point might not be a bad result at that stage?
No, not in this kind of game. No, not with these games coming up. If we had home games up against a Forest Green or somebody, then a point, okay, we might take it because we're not doing amazing on the night. But there was no way I think we could afford to drop points tonight, given what we've got to come now. I mean, we were all talking about 11 points needed before kick-off for promotion. Everybody, I think, in the Telegram group was saying that tonight was a free hit. It was a guarantee, wasn't it? There were a few more kind of not pessimistic voices amongst us, maybe realist voices amongst us, saying that sometimes funny results can get thrown up, but I don't think a point would have done any good for us at all tonight, especially at that point, because Wednesday are 2-0 up going into half time. Plymouth were 0-0 at that point, I think, going into half time, but a point tonight would have done us no good whatsoever. Draws just kill you in this league, and even though we were one down on half time, I certainly wouldn't have accepted a point at all. And also, the way they've been playing, the faith you've got in McKenna, it would be very unlike us to have two poor halves. I kind of had a bit of hope that he'd get them in at half time and either change something tactically or personnel wise. I thought Ladapo might come off at half time. We might see Hurst come back on to try and kind of reinvigorate that front line with Chaplin and Broadhead. I thought he might make some changes, and a point would have done us no favours at all. So no, very much get back out there and let's take it to them. And Westlake kept making the point, didn't he, on the commentary, that their blocks were becoming more desperate. They would tire. They wouldn't be able to keep this up. And thankfully, in the second half, that's kind of what started to happen. So we had to go straight back out there and really get back to it after halftime. And full credit to McKenna for making a couple of changes at halftime to really get us back into the game.
Yeah, he did. Do you want to through those couple of changes there?
Well, it was noticeable, wasn't it? Davis in the second half kind of stayed higher up the pitch and came very wide left to find some space. So I think the right wing back slash stay at home right full back for Port Vale was getting dragged out a little bit, and suddenly we were finding a little bit more space in the box. There was one moment where Ladapo kind of pinned his man and turned him well, and kind of nothing came of it. But we started just to find a couple of little openings that eventually kind of led to the equalising goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please drop us a like on YouTube just for how well Seb is doing here to carry this podcast, because I think we're really struggling with my connection here, aren't we, Seb? And your answers are starting to get longer and longer. And I know that you're doing that out of professionalism rather than anything else. But yeah, shout out Seb, and yeah, please give us a like. Thanks for those who have already. So there's a flurry of corners at the start of the second half, isn't there? We definitely do come out the traps well, as you say. And the score updates start coming up on iFollow saying Bristol Rovers have scored. They've pulled a goal back against Sheffield Wednesday to make it 2-1. Then Shrewsbury have scored. My heart rate increases further. But then a moment of it changes the game, Seb.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, yeah, like you say, at that point, the scores are coming in from elsewhere. So we're getting more and more excitable, and things just weren't really clicking for us still. Although we had those couple of corners, there was still, the weight of the pass wasn't always there. And, sometimes slightly wrong decisions. Balls were played behind people, but 53, 54, 55 minutes, was it? And yeah, Burns finds some space finally to drill a ball in. This time he drills it. He'd put a few in to the far post. Kind of floated ones that hadn't really worked out. This time he probably drills it. I thought it took a little bit of a nick off one of the Port Vale players when I saw it in real time. I've not seen it back, so I don't know if that's the case. And Broadhead gets across his man beautifully and just guides it home to the bottom corner. A lovely, lovely finish. Like I said, when you need to pay that, that when you need those quality moments, we saw it with Marcus Stewart in the playoffs 23 odd years ago. You pay big money for players, you expect them to deliver in big moments, and that's exactly what he does. Burns drills the ball in, Broadhead gets across his man, lovely finish. We all go crazy. Suddenly, Bristol Rovers have got one back. Suddenly, Plymouth are dropping points. Barnsley still 0-0. And we kind of think, right, here we go. And at this point, we will just blow them away.
Indeed, yeah. Big games, big players. But Vale then do successfully take the sting out of the game. I know I said that it changes the game. It obviously changes the scoreline. But Port Vale then did take the sting out of the game a little bit. They then brought on Ellis Harrison, and I think a few of us were thinking it was maybe inevitable that he was going to score. Then we bring Hurst on for Ladapo in the 62nd minute. I know you spoke at length about Ladapo earlier on in this show about it. It maybe didn't work, but the start of the second half, he really did play his part, didn't he?
Yeah, he's starting to find a bit of space, and he does that thing so well where he can pin defenders and suddenly kind of turn them. I just think, Hurst has come in from a Premier League side. He's technically a level above Ladapo. I don't think that's unfair to say. And I guess because he's been the main striker during this incredible run, the likes of Chaplin and Broadhead, it must be very different if one of those pivotal three is suddenly removed for a different style of player. Sometimes Hurst will press slightly better into the corners and the channels maybe and look to hold the ball up and involve the fullbacks. And Ladapo is much more of a kind of a central player, and Hurst will drop slightly deeper. So I just thought the three were slightly unbalanced tonight. No real fault of Ladapo. I just think Hurst has been that main man now for so long that suddenly, if you take one of those kind of one of those posts out of it's going to naturally be slightly different. And as soon as Hurst came on, you kind of sort of see the link up play, I think, started to get a little bit slicker between Chaplin and Broadhead. And suddenly, Hurst he's a big physical lump, isn't he? So he's got the touch and the awareness to bring others into play. And yeah, I just think he's that next level up. Ladapo did okay for the first 10, 15 minutes the second half, but Hurst is next level, and that's the reason you've brought him in. We chased him all summer. He's come in, done really well, had a little flurry of goals, but it's his link-up play and his ability to involve others that makes him crucial in the way that front three work.
Yeah, and the way he occupies defenders as well, isn't it, Seb? Because he didn't actually have a huge amount of touches in that second half when he came on, really, but just occupying that back line, and we managed to get our other forwards into slightly better positions when he was on the pitch. Nathan Hall says, morning from Melbourne. Anyone else's nerves starting to ramp up? They certainly were tonight. Thank you very much for your $7.99 What do we call it? We don't call it a donation, do we, Seb? But it's a very kind gift all the same.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
And like you say, yeah, the nerves are starting to ramp up. I'm not sure if Barnsley away a week tonight. I'm not sure my heart's going to be able to take that one.
No. Yeah, but I think it's worse when you're watching on iFollow. What do you
It's
think?
harder to gauge, isn't it? It's harder to work out, how the camera, you're dependent totally on the camera angle. Sometimes there are things going on off the ball when you're at Portman or at any football ground that you can't see on iFollow. And yeah, I have to admit, I didn't really enjoy following that one today on iFollow. And I guess, to be fair, Peterborough, Barnsley, they will not play the way that obviously Port Vale play tonight. There's no chance of them sitting back with deep defences and stuff. Barnsley seem very open at the back in the channels behind the fullbacks, and we know Peterborough are a very, very attacking side. So yeah, I guess tonight is a frustrating night, but those two games, they're big games. The nerves might be going, but they're probably, for us, hopefully, be slightly easier opposition to play against, because they will try and take us on.
Absolutely. And then so Luongo was getting in a lot down in that left channel, wasn't he? He crosses for Broadhead, but it's just slightly too high for him. He's unable to keep his header down. Then Luongo has a similar chance himself in the 70th minute after a nice little ball in from the right from Burns. Ian Westlake's pleading with Luke Wolfen to have a shot from 30, Vincent Kompany style. And then below and behold, it does open up and he does have a crack, but that one sails over the bar. I think Wolfen would be maybe a little bit disappointed with that one. But by this stage, Port Vale really maximising the time wasting. But then Carl Edwards comes on for Leif Davis in that attacking left-back position. Quite a bold move, that one, Seb. What was your initial thought when you saw that?
It was. So yeah, I kind of assumed that Clark would kind of come across to the left back position and Edwards might go right back. We've seen him play left wing back before, but never as an out and out left back. But then, to be fair, at that point in the game, Davis was basically a left winger, wasn't he? He had very little defensive duties to do because they were just kind of, sitting back. So I guess in that kind of scenario, then Edwards gives you that ability where he can drop a shoulder, go either way, use a bit of skill to beat a man. And sometimes when you're facing a frustrating block that you just can't get through, you need that bit of directness and unpredictability. So yeah, no issues with that. I was maybe a little bit surprised it was Davis given his set piece threat, and with Evans out of the team, you don't necessarily have another recognizable kind of delivery from corners in there. But yeah, something needed to change, and he is that. That's why Edwards is still part of the squad and didn't go out in January. He's that maverick off the bench who you can look to turn to when things aren't going your way to produce that moment of magic. And to be fair, I thought he got involved in the game as we expected him, as he always does. Straight away he's looking to take people on. He's lovely and direct. He's got great close control. He always drops a shoulder and can go outside the man or inside the man. And yeah, I thought he started pretty strongly. And all I was worried about, we've seen with Edwards recently, where we don't necessarily, he does well, but we kind of leave him out of the game a little bit and we focus down the other wing or the other parts of the pitch. And I was worried that kind of same stuff might happen.
Yeah. So Edwards has come on in, what is this, the 18th of April, wearing gloves and doesn't seem to have the right studs on either, because he keeps slipping over. However, he does, as you say, make a positive impact. And I think us winning the penalty does come from him with getting across it, and then eventually the ball finds its way to Harry Clark. Seb, can you try and explain this penalty for me, please?
Well, I thought it was two in quick succession, wasn't it? So obviously it comes to Clark, who puts the first ball in, I think it is. And that one I don't think was really much of a handball. It was hard to tell with that one. It comes back to Burns. He kind of whips it in. And then, the guy's arm is up and it is out and it is away from his body. It's the guy that scored the goal, isn't it? Is it Brenning? Yeah, I can't remember his name is, but it's the guy that scored their opening goal. It's the guy that scored their goal. And the arm is up and out. So therefore, the ref took a while, I thought. It wasn't, he didn't point to the spot straight away. So I was thinking maybe he's going to let that one go. But it was definitive. He points at the spot, and then suddenly you're panicking because it's the 83rd minute. Our penalty record, let's be honest, this season hasn't been great at all. Chaplin kind of had the ball in his hand, and I kind of figured, well, surely after Sheffield Wednesday, he's no longer on penalties. And then, of course, Broadhead comes across, and, it's the latest thing, isn't it, is that the deceptiveness where a different player will kind of take the ball to let the mind games of the opposition start. And then at the last minute, it's passed over to the nominated taker, and Port Vale try and scuff up the penalty spot. I thought Chaplin was a bit silly the way he pushed that guy over I thought that was a little bit, I know you got a booking for it, but that was quite a forceful push. It wasn't just a shove and stuff. And you never know with a League One ref. Imagine if he'd have had a straight red for that and he suddenly misses, three of the remaining 4 games. But Broadhead puts the ball down, big players, big moments, great penalty. I think it hits the side net on its way into the broad shoulders. Yeah, I think it hits the side netting on its way into the corner. And we all go absolutely crazy. My partner was upstairs. She was on the phone to somebody, and all she could hear was this loud expletive and me going, "Get in," from downstairs in the lounge. And yeah, suddenly we can all breathe easy because they'd offered very little attacking-wise in the second half. I know they had Ellis Harrison on. They brought Matty Taylor on. So they had a threat. But, in reality, all we had to do at that point then was sensible game management, see the game out, and we knew we were just about there. And at that point, Plymouth were still only drawing 1-1 with Shrewsbury, so it seemed to be almost the perfect night.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Charlie D says, great penalty. Nick says, be coolly taken.
It was, wasn't it?
The technique for a long time. That penalty's basically non-existent. It been scuffed up that badly, but he just trusted his technique. That wasn't a nervous penalty at all. He just whipped it across the goalkeeper into that far corner. Really nicely taken. McSauceman says he watched it from the other side of the room. I fancied Broadhead to score. I wasn't expecting him to miss. Let's put it that way. How about you, Seb?
Yeah, I think he was the coolest person in Portman Road at that point because, he just looked absolutely fine, didn't he? He's confident. Obviously, they've had a chat amongst themselves after the various misses this season. He's now the new nominated taker and he doesn't let him get in his head. You've got the players scuffing up the penalty spot and stuff. He looks perfectly calm, perfectly collected, and like you say, superb technique to fire it home across the keeper. And a big moment, big player. And, hopefully if in... Sorry, I lost you there. Sorry.
Yeah, David Arthur says, nice to see Broadhead back on the score sheet, Seb. Hopefully this is the start of a run between now and the end of the season.
Hopefully, but he only ever scores at Portman Road, doesn't he? So he's only got the Exeter game now to add to his tally. He doesn't score away from home, so it'd be great if he pops up at London Road or at Oakwell with a strike. But so far, he's very much a Portman Road player, isn't
he? Yeah. Kev Hansen says 1.5 million reasons why we got him. Minty, lovely. David Bergen, it's 2 from 3 now for the autos. Yeah, I think a lot of people have written Barnsley off after tonight. It was always going to be a tough, difficult run in, and they're going to point towards that game that was called off on the 25th of March, aren't they?
Yeah, because they were flying like a steam train at that point, weren't they? We were in great form as well, obviously, but there's no chance we were going to go there without Burns and Broadhead. So yeah, I mean, I think they're out of it now. What are they? 6 points behind us. They've still got the game in hand over Wednesday, obviously, but it's against us. So yeah, I think they probably have to accept now that they're in for the playoffs. We've given ourselves a little bit of wiggle room now. We can afford a slip, a point at Oakwell suddenly is absolutely fine for what we need to do. And yeah, like David said, it's down to us, Plymouth and Wednesday for the top 2. I think personally, Plymouth, it seems to be written in the stars. I've never known a side I guess the more they do it, me and Rich discussed it on, I think, the pre-match show for them, the more they bang ones in from 30 yards and whatever, it becomes less luck and more, maybe just muscle memory and patterns of play. But I've never known a side have so many late winners, deflected equalizers, deflected winners, lose their best players and just somehow keep going. I think in the next couple of weeks, and given their running now is quite straightforward, I think 3 of their last 4 are at home, and there's nothing for them to really worry about in terms of opposition. I mean, I've got it here. They're playing Cambridge, Bristol Rovers and Burton at home park, and then they're away at Port Vale. So I think Plymouth now are going to get one of those slots, and we're kind of in a shootout for the other one, be it that or the title.
Yeah. Port Vale might be tough, but they don't draw games, do they? So they're gonna lose one.
And it's the last day of the season, so
we've got the end of the game here, haven't we, Seb? Let's bring a man that was in the lower stand into Mr. Rich Wood. How were your nerves during that one, Rich?
Fine, mate.
Better than my internet connection.
So I know you guys take the piss out of me. I might swear quite a lot, by the way, guys. Apologies in advance if people are offended by foul and abusive language. P.S. Keep those super chats coming. We'll donate all that money to Mikey's internet service provider, which is absolute dog shit. So thank you, David Berg, and keep that coming. Yeah. So I've had the piss taken out of me for the last maybe 2 months because I'm not going to get ahead of myself about chanting about promotion and league titles and so on. But I'm the calmest man at halftime. You know, it's not going as we planned, but it was always going to be a weird one tonight. And you got to trust the process, guys. And the tactic in the first half was give the ball to Broadhead. We didn't do it well enough. So McKennan's halftime team talk was give the ball to Broadhead more, and it worked. You know, games like tonight are why we need to get out of this godforsaken league, isn't it? Not fun, not enjoyable.
No.
A lot of credit for Port Vale, by the way. You know, 3 players suspended, I think it was. One of them got rescinded. New coach came in, clearly very astute, knew what he was doing. We just had to be patient, but I trusted the process. I trusted the fact we are a post-Broadhead team now, and it makes all the difference. I think you guys have talked about Ladapo and Hurst. I think in hindsight, McKenna would probably not do that, knowing what he knows now. I think the one thing that walking home I was thinking about was the fact that Ladapo and Hurst, in terms of initiating the press and chasing down the defender, I think they do it very differently. And I think Hurst doesn't withdraw so much down the pitch. Ladapo does. He goes searching for the ball. Hurst is much more patient, quite likes hanging around up front, even though he's not necessarily in the action. And in doing so, it creates space for the likes of Chaplin and Broadhurst. And is it Broadhurst? Because now Telegram have confused
Broadhurst,
me.
Broadchurch,
Broadstairs.
Yeah.
And I think Freddie's intentions were
Broad
good,
shoulders.
but positionally, I think it just created a little bit of confusion tonight. And I think McKenna probably, that's one thing that maybe in hindsight he would have done. But I was calm, to answer your question, Mikey. I knew that it was going to be a tough one for Port Vale to sustain because we were shooting towards the North Stand. That you withdraw so far, you are going to concede chances. You're going to concede set pieces. Admittedly, the first goal came from a lovely move, and the winner's a penalty. That's incidental for me. We deserved it tonight. And it's just a shame that other teams let us down by scoring last minute bloody winners.
It's in the stars for them. I think we have to applaud them and say fair play. You've done amazingly to stay up there with the so-called bigger boys of us and Sheffield Wednesday. And yeah, if they get top 2, they should be applauded by everybody in the division because it's an absolutely superb achievement. They've done really, really well. So what was the feeling?
Just a little question from me, if you can hear me.
We can hear you, Mikey.
Yeah.
Maybe you just join in the chat.
Right. Clem Fandango, could you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you. Yes. Yeah. I missed the Clarkey fist bump.
I was just going to ask how many.
Way.
Oh, good man. How many times have we conceded? How many times have Plymouth or Sheffield Wednesday now scored when we've chanted "Stand up if you top the league"?
Oh,
yeah.
That pissed me off. Yeah, it really. I was like, sing that at full time, you numpties. Yeah, I just save it, guys. I know it's exciting and all that kind of stuff, and this is where I flip reverse from being all pragmatic and calm at halftime and thinking we're going to get back into this. And as soon as those chants start, it's kind of just inevitable. But 96 minutes. I mean, as C London says, you got. Do they deserve it? I guess they probably do.
Yeah, they do. Across the season, they do.
Yeah.
See, it doesn't. 46 games doesn't lie. Yes, they've had exceptional luck. I mean, I think I sat here a few weeks ago and I said Exeter away and Shrewsbury away in quick succession, they will drop points because Shrewsbury were playing really well at that point. Some of the best defensive stats in the league. Exeter was a derby. They're amazing at home park. They're not that amazing on the road. And look, they've won one with a deflected effort and they've won one in the 96th minute. And you know, like we said on the pre-match show for Plymouth, the more they do it, the less it becomes luck and the more it becomes fitness and tactics and patterns of play. And Yeah, fair play to them.
Reminds me of Norwich. We used to bemoan
Yeah.
Norwich doing that under Lambert, didn't we? And it
Yeah.
becomes a habit, doesn't it? And
yeah,
it's just annoying that, you know, teams like Shrewsbury and Bristol Rovers seem to turn up other times. They're like, I'll add them to the list of shit houses like Cambridge, who kind of turn up just to piss us off and don't do the job against anyone else. But we're about half an hour in, so it's all right. I can swear a little bit, and it's nearly 10:30 as well. So apologies in advance if people don't like my fruity language, but I've dashed here, and I'm a bit excited, if I'm honest.
Lovely. Julian T says pitch being water just before kickoff was a mistake. Fast surface, but maybe a little bit too slippery. Could that have contributed to why we were a little bit toppy in possession in the first half, perhaps?
I don't think so. The issue that we've got tonight is that Port Vale are going to sit, and it's a back 10, isn't it? Basically, I mean, it's back 11 almost. Two really tight lines. They forced us back, and ultimately we had Burgess and Wolfenden halfway in their half. And there is only so much space in Portman Road. It's not like Port Vale's crazy wide pitch where essentially you can try and force those overlaps and double up on people. Port Vale, I think one of you guys said went man to man. I think maybe Ian Westlake mentioned it. So I think the issue for us was the fact that we possibly weren't brave enough when we had the ball in those positions. Wolfenden, ball at his feet. Generally, there's a few moments in the second half where it's like I've been told by McKenna I need to bomb forward into the space, but there's a point where you're going to hit against a white brick wall of shirts and you have to go sideways, and I think that inevitably leads to missed passes or Port Vale players getting a boot in and knocking it away from us. And I think we just had to maintain our patience and trust that at some point Port Vale would make a mistake or they would tire, and I think that's what happened. So I wouldn't read too much into the watering of the pitch. I think we wanted it to be nice and slick anyway to try and help us speed the game up. Indeed,
yeah. Neil Perks has donated another £3.50 towards new broadband for me down here in deepest, darkest deep car. Nathan Broadband, I think somebody said earlier in the chat, which is very nice.
As long as it's fibre broadband, that's all we want. Broadhurst, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just I mean, how am I showing up now, Rich? Would it be worth me ducking out of the live and just controlling the buttons?
It's a little bit iffy if we're honest, Mikey, yeah. Maybe Seb host it. That'll be interesting.
All right, I'm going to bid farewell to everyone.
Cheers for seeing us through the first half, Mikey.
Thanks for bearing with me, and I'll duck out. Cheers, lads. Bye-bye.
Right, Seb. I've always right. First off, let's swap us around. Right, everyone. This is an experiment. We're going to give Seb his first go of hosting the pod. Enjoy.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what buttons to push. I haven't got a clue.
I can push the buttons. That's all right. Well,
manage expectations.
Have we done the results from elsewhere tonight?
No, we just wrapped up our game. Just quickly before we do that, what was it like at full time? I assume amazing because I had to log off to come up here. Obviously, I assume phenomenal atmosphere at full time, singing outside the ground as we'd all expect.
I don't know because I had to dash here because Mikey's internet was shit. So I missed out on it. Everyone,
what a hero you are! What a hero!
Yeah, I wanted to contribute to the chat and. It was, I mean, the atmosphere was fine. There was definitely moments where it got a bit, I think, again, watching the game from as I do, I can understand that it's going to be frustrating tonight. I think there was moments where we would have hoped for a bit more movement off the ball. Yep. And I think a lot of people kind of got suckered into thinking that we weren't playing particularly well. I just think we were frustrated and that kind of, there was definitely a sense of that, but it didn't get too bad. I think there was a lot of good efforts, particularly the North Stand Lower, to pressure the referee to sort out the time wasting.
Oh, it was a joke, wasn't it? It was
the fact the keeper got booked so early was a problem because the referee was never ever going to give him a second one, and he was definitely asking for it. And I think the crowd did their bit for that. But once the goals went in, particularly obviously the second goal, the atmosphere definitely shifted, and all the nonsense chants that tempt fate and went against us. But yeah, atmosphere was good. Good numbers. Good numbers from Port Vale as well. I think Steve Foster said they brought like 200. It looked like double that to
300,
me.
300 apparently. Yeah, I thought that was really, really impressive. And we know it's a trek down there on a Tuesday night. And obviously their season is, they've been on a horrendous run of form. 3 first-teamers suspended. I guess maybe the new manager might have made a slight difference. But yeah, I thought that was really impressive. We've seen some sides turn up on a Saturday, with less than 100 fans. So fair play to them. I thought that was quite impressive.
Should we jump into the chat and see what we've got? I think Mikey is still there, but I'm going to do some bits and pieces. I think Graham's our native Plymouth fan. Apologies, Graham, if I keep getting that wrong, but Plymouth won 10 away matches, presumably not in a row, Graham, but all of us...
because I said they weren't amazing away from home park. I said it was very their home form, which was, keeping them really up there. But yeah, fair play. Like we say, we applaud you because, to be, 42 games in at this stage is phenomenal, especially given the fact that, Whittaker goes, Cooper has his injury, Scar was out for a period of time. It's been a phenomenal effort, and you fully deserve to finish second behind us.
Rob adding some colour on Shrewsbury's predicament. Am I missing something? What's the laughter?
That's because I said they deserved to finish second behind us, and I thought you'd have a go. I thought you'd shout at me for it.
No,
Shrewsbury only had 4 players on the bench tonight. Their squad is absolutely decimated. So maybe that had a factor. But Plymouth doing Plymouth things, I think, is the best way to describe it.
Norman's, this is something that I think all of us are probably worrying a little bit about now. I don't think Norman's, for those listening again on the podcast, can you see Exeter Fleetwood having the same game plan? I mean, there's some lessons definitely to be learned for those two sides. I guess motivation's a factor at this point. I think Exeter's season is as good as done now. They've got some opportunity to...
The Kingmakers, you called them, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but they bottled it against Plymouth. Hello, Exeter fans. I'm just on one tonight. Sorry, everyone. I haven't even had a beer. So they've missed out the opportunity. That was their kind of big game, wasn't it? Their derby game. And I kind of feel like now that's out of the way and they haven't taken a chunk out of Plymouth, that really it's going through the motions and looking forward to another season at this level. Fleetwood... I think Fleetwood, I'd expect maybe Seb to try these strategies.
Maybe, but then again, they're at home. I mean, Scott Brown would love to cause an upset, I assume, on the last day of the season. But at that point, we'll know exactly what needs to happen. And I just think that momentum might well kind of carry us through. It might be something that we're able just to get, out ahead of. I mean, we've got these efforts coming up.
Look at all this. We've got too many Blue Monday contributors now, Ben. It's Ben Bloom in the car, in the dodgy car. You're not driving, are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're not driving though, are you?
I'm driving in a straight line on the A14 in the...
Oh, Ben, I can't allow this. This is not safe.
My nerves are shredded.
It's not been fun, is it? I'm not sure I can allow Ben to join the call on the video, guys. This is my work health and safety plan kicking in.
I will bid you all farewell and look straight into the distance. And well done, Plymouth, 96 minutes.
Yeah, you bastards. Safe travelling, Ben.
Laters.
Bye. Blimey. It's all gone rogue tonight. Everyone, you're getting good value.
Chaos.
Getting value. I'm just gonna join the video call in my car. But let's move it on, shall we? Neil, surprised Wolfen didn't try more shots. Yeah, I think Wolfen, and this was my thought. I think someone mentioned the words Vince and company, didn't they? I think it might have been you.
Westlake said it in commentary. He said sometimes in a game like this, you need that moment where the centre half is striding out from the back and they've got so much space in front of them. Sometimes it's worth a crack. He said it about 10 minutes before Wolfenden had that effort that it wasn't that close. The one that kind of flied high and wide to the keeper's left. So I mean, him and Burgess were finding themselves in such space, weren't they, on the edge of the box? But every time we did what we do, where we try and find that extra pass to go wide to try and get in behind the fullback and whip the cross in.
If I'm McKenna, I'm giving Wolfenden shooting training, because I think there will be moments where teams just let him have the ball and actually he could catch some teams out off guard. I think Morsey and Wolfenden seem to me the players that were having the ball and probably could have been or might have been a bit braver with their choices. But again, Port Vale just sticking bodies behind the ball. And Morsey had a shot, didn't he? Decent shot that I think was deflected for a corner in the first half. Wolfenden had one that was kind of skied wide a little bit. But there was an opportunity there, as Neil says, for Wolfie. Kev, interesting thought. Port Vale might be a problem for Plymouth at home. They just won't lie down. Yeah, I mean, go on, Seb. You look incredulous.
It's the last game of the season. It's the final day.
Oh, let's
so...
go down to the last day. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but at that point, like if we, if us and Plymouth simply have to win to guarantee top 2, I think the momentum would carry us through. I couldn't see them having done amazingly well in the season. I'd be amazed, staggered, if they threw it away on the last day somehow.
Brad asks, do I do the podcast standing up? I do. You notice me taking my shoes off there to try and... Professionalism is getting my face in the middle of the shot for you guys and lining up with Seb. So I was taking my shoes off so I wasn't too high. But yeah, I have a stand-up desk. So because I work from home. And a lot of people enjoying the swearing. A lot of people enjoying Mikey's contribution. Mikey's still with us, by the way. If you get reset your router, Mikey, maybe you'll have with you extra time, something to think about. But I could still see him there. What else have we got? Gary just got in. Phew, what a result. Yeah, a lot of people, I'm sure, thinking about that. Noel Baker asks results from elsewhere. Should we do that now? I think Mikey might have kindly uploaded that.
Yeah, we've got them ready to go. Yeah.
Do you want to talk us through them, Seb? I mean, we mentioned Plymouth already, but... We
know Plymouth, and we know what Wednesday ended up doing. Obviously, 2-0 up at half-time, and then Rovers pulled one back very early on, I thought, in the second half, and we thought maybe there's a chance there, but they hung on and saw out the win. So the top 3 all got results tonight. Peterborough warmed up for Saturday's game with a win at Accrington. Clark Harris scored again, so he's pulled 1 goal further ahead of Chaplin in the race for the Golden Boots. And Lincoln completed their amazing record against the top 4 sides, unbeaten. Was it 3 wins, 5 draws, I think, against the top 5? So Barnsley now, would you agree, are out of the autos and have to settle for a playoff position? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, we'll put the league table up in a second, but I think probably it does, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And like we said, top 3 all won. It would have been amazing had Plymouth dropped points, or if Rovers had pulled the second one back against Wednesday. But the important thing is we won. We needed 11 points before kickoff, 8 to go. Move on to the next one.
All the cool kids won 2-1 tonight, seemingly. That was the result for everyone, wasn't it? Charlton bounced back after Saturday with a 1-0 as well. Burton got a point against Bolton. Didn't spot that one.
Yeah. Bolton 1-0 up quite early on.
Let's have a look at the league table, shall we? There it is. It could have been so much nicer, but Seb nearing the 90-point mark as well. But look at that. How tight is that?
Yeah, so we've now overtaken the finishing tally from 99-2000. That was 87, I think, wasn't it? So, yeah, 4 games to go. These 2 huge away games at Peterborough and Barnsley, and then Exeter and Fleetwood. And we discussed, I don't know if you were on the call, we discussed Plymouth's running is pretty straightforward now. 3 of the last 4 are at home. I think it was Cambridge and Burton and somebody else. Wednesday have got obviously they've only got 3 games to play. They've got Exeter at Hillsborough, Shrewsbury away, and then a kind of a showdown with Derby on the last day of the season, recreating their showdown from a couple of years ago where it was winner stays up. So potentially, maybe if something is needed on that last day and they're still in the race, then we might be looking to David McGoldrick to do us a favour again. But we can't ask for any more, can we? 88 points from 42 games played is absolutely phenomenal. Any other year, we're probably celebrating the title tonight, let's be honest. But it's the way it is this year. All we can do is keep going, and the run continues. And now we have these 2 huge away games where it'll be very different football to what we faced against the likes of Cheltenham and Port Vale. It's 2 sides that should come out and attack us, and hopefully that'll work to our advantage. Yeah,
I wonder that one of the idle thoughts as I was walking up the hill as well is tonight would have taken a lot out of the players, wouldn't they? I'm not sure Clark was necessarily still 100%. We talked about him maybe having a knock from Saturday. What is it?
Broadchurch, Broadbean. It's Broadhead.
Broadhead, thank you. Has played the majority of the game. Chaplin's played the whole game. Burns has played the whole game, I think, as well. Obviously, we kept Hurst a little bit fresher, but that's a big effort tonight, Seb.
Yeah, but Davis came off as well, didn't he? About was it 70 minutes or so? So he's had a bit of a rest. Hurst came on, he's had a bit of a rest. So I think when you're winning, it's probably much easier to suddenly get yourself, fit for games and making yourself available. I guess when you're in this kind of run of form, you just want to play as much as possible and play as many games as you can. So yes, they might be knackered, but hopefully the momentum and the buzzing atmosphere in that dressing room at full time will carry them through to the next one. And we've got a bit of a gap now. It's I know it's the weekend, but we've got a few days. Day off tomorrow, train Wednesday, travel Friday, train Thursday, travel Friday, and go again. At this point, they're so fit, aren't they? All they'll have to do is kind of tide over with the training. It'll be minimal stuff working on shape and patterns of play and set pieces, and the training will be very, very light between now and the end of the season, won't it?
Look who's back again. It doesn't look good for him though.
It doesn't, does it?
It does not. He's bold that he's put himself in the frame. Go on, Mikey, speak to us. No.
It's like
Mikey.
being on the phone to somebody abroad in the 1990s where there was a massive delay. I remember my dad going to America for work.
The league table if you'd like.
We've done the league table, mate. Mikey, leave us to it, mate. Call it a night. We appreciate you, but we've got it covered. Don't worry. He's gone.
Brilliant.
Professionalism is, and that is what we want. And I need to try. There's the right background. Right, let's go jump back into the chat. Apologies, everyone. We are professional, trust me. A lot of chat about Plymouth again. Neil here, a lot to contend with. Bounce back after getting smashed by Bolton. Yeah, and I think that's...
And the defeat to Lincoln as well could have been a massive spanner in the works, to lose at home park where they've been imperious. That could have really set them off. But to be fair, Exeter away at Derby, they've won it. Shrewsbury, they've won it late on. And I think I could see them taking maximum points now from the remaining 4.
Let's talk about us more. Rob, for me, it was a great win tonight. Showed true character to dig in, win the hard way from behind against a stubborn team. Shows promotion form that. Yeah, I was just wondering, Seb, the last time we came from behind to win a game, can you remember that? Anyone help us out in the chat?
It's been so good recently. I'm struggling.
We haven't needed to, have we? But
no, because we've been in control at half time in the vast majority of games for the last 2.5 months or so. I guess we showed a bit of character away to Cambridge with the penalty save, and then it was only a draw, but we showed a little bit of character.
Same with
Portsmouth 2-2, yeah. But no, I can't off the top of my head think of the last time we were behind. Somebody in the chat will tell us, I'm sure. The last time we were behind and came from behind to win a game. I can think of a few we've come from behind to draw. To draw, but not being in a losing position to win a game.
Yeah, late wins aren't necessarily a McKenna thing, are they? We don't.
No, because normally we're in such control, aren't we? We're normally half time 2 goals ahead, and come 60, 70 minutes, it's 3 goals ahead, and we can start resting players, which kind of kills the game off. So.
Gary, really annoyed with Vale's tactics. Substitutions made were excellent. Fair play, Port Vale.
There's no point in them coming to us and trying to take us on. They'd got absolutely handed to them. They saw us absolutely destroy Charlton at the weekend. So, the new manager, 3 suspended first teamers. I think they were limited by what they could do tonight. And if that's the game plan, then fair play. It's up to us to try and break it down.
Mark, hi guys, late to the party, tried to merge the words together, enjoyed that. Broadhead quietly but confidently took the ball off Chaplin and said, "This is mine." Yeah, I think that was always I think you called out this new strategy about avoiding the moments. But yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Michael Burgess has a better shot at him than Wolfie. Oh, I'm not sure, Michael, not sure. I think I've seen Burgess clatter a few into the upper tier of the South Stand before. But yeah, both of the defenders maybe should score a few more, particularly from the set pieces. It's not something we've really talked about, Seb, but both have got height, haven't they? Burgess has scored a few, hasn't he? Maybe it's time for Wolfie. I keep calling a Clark long ranger, but maybe it's time for a Wolfie tap in from a corner, maybe. I don't know. Maybe Saturday's the time for that one. James B, never going to be an easy game. A hard worker. Yeah, earned that one, definitely. Matthew, the ground stuff we're discussing the penalty spot afterwards, looking at the state of it. Yeah, more shithousery. Yeah, that's what they do. Where else have we got here? Tim, our mate Tim. No shot. True grit to grind out the result when a few players off the boil. Huge result that we wouldn't have probably achieved prior to January signings. Yeah, pre and post Broadhead feels like the stuff that we talk about on this pod quite a lot. But Seb, what's your name again? Yep. But it feels true, isn't it? And you talked about it a lot tonight. But in these moments, that's where you rely on a Welsh international, someone you bloody love.
Someone I bloody love, being a fellow countryman, apparently, in your eyes. You need those players to drag you across the line, don't you? That's what you pay the money for, to turn up in the big moments that matter. He looked cool as hell only on iFollow, so he looked cool as hell for that penalty. I wasn't concerned about him missing it. I know our record's been pretty crap this season from the penalty spot. I was a bit concerned when I saw it in Chaplin's hands, thinking, "Oh, you've missed 2 this season. It's a big pressure moment," but I thought Broadhead looked absolutely cool as a cucumber, and the technique to pop it into the side netting on its way to the corner was just phenomenal. So, fair play.
And we, for those folk who are just joining us right now, and there's great numbers, so we'll keep going as long as folks stick around with us. Even the first goal was tasty, wasn't it? Kind of Hurst at Bolton-esque. I'd describe it. Closer in, and maybe a slightly easier effort than Hurst, but same principle. So lovely drilled in ball. I thought on iFollow, I've not seen a replay. I thought on iFollow the
ball in from Burns, deflected off one of the Port Vale's player before it reached Broadhead, in which case it's an even better finish. But that might just be my crappy iFollow feed playing tricks on my mind. But either way, it was a great finish from him to get across his man and, kind of steer it into the corner. And yeah, at that moment, although we started the second half well, me and Mikey were trying to discuss it given his internet. We kind of started reasonably okay with a few corners in quick succession in the second half. But yeah, as soon as that moment went in, we kind of all thought, right, here we go.
I didn't see any deflections on any bit of that goal.
It could well have been my dodgy iFollow feed.
And I think you guys have spoken about the double handball. I think the first one was harsh. There was one
first one for me
well.
wasn't. Yeah, first one for me wasn't. Second one, it's up, isn't it? It's up and away from his body. So yeah, by the letter of the law, then that has to be a penalty.
But that's again, pay credit to the team, right? We kept going, and the trouble with this strategy of sticking 11 men behind the ball and camping in your own 18-yard box is you're going to invite balls into the box. We were crossing it a lot. It just takes one mistake like that to give us an opening. And that's the deficiency with this strategy, or at least it's the deficiency of the strategy. Now we've got the quality players to deal with it. I thought Carl Edwards made a difference coming on. He was trying to get balls in the box as well, injecting a bit of pace down the left-hand side. And I think that's the difference to rewind, 4 months ago when we just ran out of ideas. Now we're more patient, but we also have better players to try and find those moments. And if you're relentless, if you keep banging on the door, eventually the team will open it for you. They can't. Psychologically, it must be so frustrating to play against us because we don't sit back. We keep going. We keep going, don't we?
And then you look across at the bench and you see Ladapo going off to be replaced by George Hurst and think, Christ, I've had to be on my game against someone like Ladapo for the first 70 minutes, and suddenly you're bringing on a Premier League, loaned in striker. So yeah, heads would naturally drop at that point as well, wouldn't they?
Yep. Zorak, if Plymouth and us win on Saturday, we'll both have one more point than Wigan and Rotherham did, respectively, at the end of last season. Yeah,
it's a crazy year, isn't it? Like I said, 88 points tonight. In most normal seasons, we're probably celebrating promotion tonight at Portman Road, but this is the way it is this year.
We'll save it for your birthday, eh? That's what we're going to do.
That would be nice.
I'm just going to put the stats up as well, just to confirm what we all saw with our eyes, in case folk don't believe it. Let me just remove the comment there very quickly. Just the 70% possession, Seb, it felt like more. XG suggesting maybe that their keeper wasn't forced into too many saves. I think that's fair, isn't it?
It's fair. Yeah, there's no shots on target in the first half, were there?
Big chances, only one. Maybe that's the penalty, to be fair. 16 shots, though. Accurate passes, 417 to 100. Only one offside, 10 corners. That really tells the story, doesn't it? But maybe, again, without Broadhead, the lack of clear-cut chances tonight. There wasn't much from Chaplin. There wasn't much from Ladapo. There wasn't much from Hurst, to be honest. Both of them had headers that they should have done better with, shouldn't they? But yeah, I think you've alluded to, we shouldn't necessarily expect similar experiences for the rest of the campaign. Just going to go back to the chat for a few more minutes, and then we'll look ahead to Peterborough. Rob, we're getting all the insights from other games. Famewell injured.
Scored the second for them, didn't he? Yeah, got the second goal. So I assume it was from a set piece, being a defender. But if he's gone off injured, that could be a plus for us.
And I think Graham, our Plymouth mate, also said that Bristol Rovers had a goal disallowed as well. Were you aware of that?
No, I missed that one if they did.
Okay. Ross just got in from Portman Road. Wow, what a gritty comeback. James giving us 3 love hearts straight back at you there. Jamie Souza, Massimo Luongo, a close second for man of the match tonight. He was phenomenal. Another great performance. And again, rewind a few months. Do we have the grit, the determination, as the guys have said on the chat, to turn and grind this result out? I'm not sure. Maybe, Evans, obviously, good for those cross-field diagonals, which is good for unlocking defences. But it's Luongo's diligence, isn't it? Just determined to get stuck in and also runs at the opposition maybe a little bit more than Evans does. Is that fair?
Yeah, tenacious. I thought he got forward quite a lot tonight, especially in the channels. He was kind of in that inside left channel quite a bit, and he had that effort at the near post, I think, when he was in the right-hand side of the box. So, yeah, I mean, we've discussed the January signings. He was the box-ticking one that we kind of thought, all right, makes sense. He's a bit of midfield cover for Evans and Morsey and Dominic Ball. And then, yeah, he's been absolutely vital, absolutely incredible. Hopefully he gets at least another year with us, because Morsey's game has moved on to a new level with him alongside him. He adds physicality, he adds tenacity, he adds a bit of nous and experience in the middle, and yeah, he's very much up there with he's probably tied, I think, with Broadhead's the headline maker because of the goals, naturally the goals and the assists and stuff. But the signing of Luongo has been absolutely crucial. He's definitely up there for me with Broadhead as being the most crucial one, given what he's brought to the team and the players around him.
And let's not forget Clark as well. Obviously, probably a little bit not necessarily fully fit, I'd suggest.
Yeah, he went off, didn't he, on
self.
Saturday? Yeah, he went off on Saturday, didn't he? Halfway through or maybe quite early on in the second half, I think it was. So I don't know if he's carrying a knock or something.
Maybe so, but see London, Clark G1 the way he's driving forward. And who's this guy? Michael Penty Smith. Clark will score the winner from distance at Barnsley. There's a prediction for you there.
If that happens, limbs, as the kids say, I think. Is it limbs the kids say?
You know what the kids say. You're one of them. Stop being so humble.
Limbs in the away end if that happens.
You're on the floor. It's Derby away all over again. James back again. We were good tonight. Needed to get more balls in the box. Yeah, but gritty performance. The word keeps coming back, doesn't it? Grind out the result. Yeah, that's what folks keep saying. Zorak highlighting of our 16 shots, only 2 on target. The 2 goals, perhaps indicative of maybe the struggles we had to forge proper chances. Norman, to be fair, their keeper filled the goal. Yeah, Woodward quipped. He had 1 stone on the back of his shirt, and I said, "Yeah, you need to lose 1 stone, mate."
Did everyone around you applaud?
Everyone applauded. Everyone clapped. Yeah, we were counting. I haven't done this for a while. We were counting the seconds for the goalkeeper to take goal kicks and throw-ins tonight to help the referee out, because the 6
It's not a rule anymore. It's not a rule.
It's still in the rule book, as far as I think.
No, it's not. It went years ago.
I think it's an urban myth that it's been taken out. It's just not enforced. So the crowd were counting tonight.
I thought that went years ago.
No, look it up, mate. Look it up in your contract. Kyle, evening, gents. Just strolled in tonight. Was the sort of game where you have to dig deep and show how much you want it. Broadhead worth every blooming penny.
Oh, yes.
Quite right. Cure 8. Luongo way ahead of Evans, I think, on current form, obviously. But different midfielders said for different needs.
I wouldn't be surprised if Evans moves on in the summer, if I'm being honest. Second year running, not really. I mean, second year running, he's not been able to kind of, play the second half of the season. And I think Don Ball was probably signed that if he hadn't been injured, he'd have been the starting midfielder with Morsey. Evans did brilliantly when he came in at the start of the season for those first 4 or 5 months. But I think a more physical player, so a Dominic Ball or a Luongo alongside Morsey, gets more out of Morsey. And whilst Evans is great from his set pieces and he's great with those big switch diagonals out to the fullbacks, I just think perhaps he might be one, if we go up, that falls by the wayside in the summer.
Wow, there you go, everyone.
Is that controversial? I don't think it's that controversial.
Absolute scenes here at 5 to 11 from Seb Brown. Completely I don't know what's happened.
No, I've gone crazy. A player that's barely featured for the last for the second half of the season, who is probably out of contract relatively soon, I'm saying should move on. Yeah, what's gotten into me?
I think he's still one of the highest stat scorers on FootMob for midfielders, actually.
And that's the real quiz, to be fair. Yeah, never mind Luongo's 1 goal conceded and 10 matches won in a row, whatever it is. Yeah, the real quiz is the FootMob stats. Brilliant.
Wow. It's turned rather sour, everyone, and such a good night as well for everyone. Descent in the ranks.
You bring it out of me. Bring back Penty Smith. Bring him back.
Thank you to everyone who's giving us love on Facebook, by the way. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Do subscribe as well. Plenty more content, maybe better content than this, if we're honest. This is maybe to our usual high standards, but we're having fun. Nevertheless, Ian Wallace is with us. Hello, Ian, my fellow Women's Official Supporters Club committee member. PR must stop singing. We are top of the league. It only spurs on Plymouth to score again in added time. If only we had that control, Ian, but it tempts fate, definitely. Norman suggesting Clark had maybe issues with his back. Stephen Latimer, I can't take this anymore. So tense, but great to be in the promotion race. Shame Peter Barnsley aren't on Sky, but I follow. And maybe possibly a watch along next Tuesday night. We'll figure that one out if people want that, or whether that's
Aren't you the only Blue Monday team member not there?
I might be there. Yeah, not. Yeah,
I think the rest of us are all there, so you might be doing A watch along on your own.
I'll just speak to myself and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll just rock back and forth. But we will definitely figure out some shows next week and keep a lookout for that one as well. Worth plugging as well that the pre-match show for Peterborough will be Friday night live with Ben and I. Hopefully we'll have rebooted our routers and everything will be stable at that point. But join us on Friday night to talk about the big one at Peterborough that's not a derby on Saturday. And the flagship show will be back on Sunday evening, usual time, 8 p.m. live as well. Do get involved in the chat for that. Ben in the host chair again for that one with Seb and Joe. So definitely hoping for more positivity to talk about on Sunday. Do join us then for that one. We'll do a few more chats and then we'll say goodnight to everyone. Trying to find some stuff about us. Here's Mark from Texas. Great result. It was never going to be easy, this one, I predict. Peterborough will be more open game. And if we play like we can, I see us winning 2-0. Seb, you're the optimist here certainly of the two of us.
Of the 100% on the screen right now. I'm the optimistic one.
What's your thinking? What's your mood ahead of Peterborough?
When we did our Blue Monday predictions, was it for the final 10? Maybe, I think it was a few weeks ago. I had it down as a loss. I thought they had goals in the side, and going to London Road, our record is pretty poor. So one hand, I have to stand by that, but I think that they kind of, I thought they'd be scrapping. I know they're only just in the playoffs at the moment, but I think they'll finish in the playoffs now. They're not on the desperate scrap I thought they might be. They have got goals in the side. You and Ben will discuss the threats. Obviously, we all know about Clark Harris and the rest of them. But I think any side that tries to take us on playing football and attacking us is a brave side to try it. So we shall see what happens, but yeah, cautiously optimistic.
We'll clip that one. Yeah, but a lot of people agree with you in the chat on that one. Kian, Port Vale fan, great to have you with us, Kian. Thank you for joining the chat and appreciate your feedback. Didn't think we'd have had a chance all game and it would have been a 5 or 6, but we kept fighting. Congratulations this season. I hope you go up. Had some really tight games, haven't we, against Port Vale, Seb, this season? You and I were both at Vale Park, and obviously Port Vale dragged slightly into it in recent weeks, but certainly if tonight is anything to go by, there's a lot more fight in the team to keep themselves comfortable in this division, isn't there tonight? Give Kean some reassurance.
After tonight's performance, yeah, I think so. We don't know what's gone on with Darryl Clark the last few games, but a new manager, if you're looking for that bounce, okay, they've lost, but I think they can walk away proud of themselves. They executed a game plan pretty well. They've got goals in the side with Matty Taylor, Ellis Harrison, James Wilson. They kind of names they should be delivering up front. So I don't think they'll go down. I think they'll be fine for another season, and that has to be a decent first season back at this level, doesn't it?
Yeah, clearly much more organised, I think, than previous weeks. And I quite like the change in transition. They were obviously sat back quite well, quite deep in numbers, but actually broke forward quite quickly, particularly in the second half when we equalised. I thought they definitely, I think Mikey mentioned, they sort of got back on, not on top, but at least took the sting out of the game from their perspective with us very much on a high, having scored the equaliser. And there's pace in the team as well out wide. The balls over the top, round the corner seem to work,
isn't he, from wide? Well. Yeah.
So I think, Ian, we wish Port Vale all the best for the season, but hopefully,
no offense, we don't want to be playing you next season. Yeah,
division above you. That's what we want. Carl's going to join me next week. I'll watch it with you. There you go. Well, it'll be therapy. It'll be. I'm not going to enjoy the next 2 games, if I'm honest. I just want it to be May, Seb. I want to know what's happened.
Enjoy the ride. You can't wish it away. I was there. Come on.
It's better. You think you said it's better when you're there.
Yeah.
I can't make either of the next 2 games. I enjoyed tonight. I was chilled about tonight. But yeah, there we go. A few more bits and pieces. Oh no, ITFC 1878. I'm not putting that on the screen, but I know where you're coming from. Mark, a friend who's a Cambridge United fan, said Peterborough weren't all that when Cambridge United beat them 2-0 at the weekend. But Mark, Cambridge are shit houses. They just turn up for the derbies.
Them, Oxford, yeah. You have to define your list at the end of the season.
Yeah, Sealand and Peterborough blow hot and cold. They'll be up against it. It's a big statement, won't it? That we kind of keep talking about these statements, don't we? But Peterborough will be looking to that, as will Barnsley. I mean, we can put the league table up very briefly just to finish the night off. Barnsley, they're 82 points now, 5 off.
Yeah, 6 away from us. They're out of the autos now. It's not going to happen for them.
And yeah, Plymouth. I wonder when. Yeah, I'm trying to do the maths in my head. We won't do that, but they're getting a little bit cut adrift, even though they've got a game in hand. Neil, Peterborough concede goals, vulnerable at the back. We'll talk more about that on Friday in the pre-match show. Please join us live for that one. Julian's giving us a prediction. There you go. Peterborough 1, Ipswich 3. I think we'd all take that. I mean, a grotty 1-0. I think we'd all take that as well. But we'll talk more about that on Friday. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Great numbers, fantastic numbers. If you want to say goodbye, if you want to give us a thumbs up, if you want to do another super chat to help Mikey out on his internet, please do help. Please do feel free. We've enjoyed it. Thank you, Seb, for holding the fort and maintaining a sense of calm during Mikey's issues there, intermittency. And apologies for my swearing. I didn't do too much of it. I mean, fucking hell, guys. Come on. I could have done even more, but I chose to hold it back. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Big night. Ipswich turning a 1-goal deficit at halftime into a 2-1 victory to keep pace with the other teams at the top of the League One promotion race, all winning 2-1. Plymouth with the late winner to keep Ipswich off the top of the league. But the story, Seb, is all about your man, the man, Nathan Broadhead 2, Port Vale 1. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you on Friday.